Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Senor Nerd Podcast. I have here with me Ro,
Howdy.
Ramon,
Hello, hello.
and today we're going to talk about John Wick Chapter 4. And this is going to be a spoiler review. So if you have not seen the movie, I encourage you to go see the movie and come back and hear us talk about the movie. Guys, if you would have told me that the John Wick franchise, what it needed to elevate it to another level was Dragon Spread, I would have been like, "You guys are fucking nuts. Why would there be Dragon Spread?" But clearly, they were watching House of Dragons, and they're like, "You know what? We need some motherfucking Dragon Spread."
Yup.
And before we start a review, I have a question for you guys. If you guys could add a mythical creature to the next John Wick movie, what mythical creature would you add to it?
A unicorn.
That's what I was thinking.
Dude.
Hell yeah,
No,
my man.
no.
Oh, you wait, hold
No.
on. Let me sell it. A unicorn that he's riding and he impales people with it. Come on.
No,
Good.
you either need like a griffin
Yeah.
or like a hippogriff or whatever.
Hippogriff. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
You just made that up.
One of the two. I'm okay because
Okay.
he could be riding either one, but one you kind of have the lion part of it.
You know,
And
the
then-
difference is one's more fictional and the other one's a little less fictional. But I don't know. I think the Griffin there.
So hopefully you guys were watching the movie, people listening, and you guys are clearly understanding our reference, because if you caught it and you know what part we're talking about this movie, like I was having tears down my face, man, because I was smiling so hard throughout the whole scene. But let's not get ahead. You guys, tell me what you guys thought about the movie. Obviously, I thought it was great, and I can't wait to talk more about it. But Ramon, Ro, what do you guys think about John Wick Chapter 4?
I won't actually start it, but let me start it by saying it's just like, chase scene, but then all of a sudden John Wick like rolls out of the car. I felt that's how this movie started. It's like it didn't go back to any story, it didn't go back to like any kind of conversation. It legitimately started straight up on a horse-ridden shootout like chase scene. I'm like, okay, a little different.
No, man. Seeing this movie in IMAX was freaking cool because, you get the intro where he's like hitting the wood thingy with his bare knuckles, and the sound on it was amazing. So I encourage anybody that hasn't seen the movie, go see it on IMAX. Go see it somewhere where like there's Dolby sound, because you will enjoy the movie a lot more. So, Ro, you got the tough choice of like telling us what you thought about the movie, man.
No. Actually, I love the movie. I thought it was great. There was like a lot of awesome things about it. It's definitely it's one of those movies that it's not great because of the story, or it's not great because of like the screenwriting or anything like that. It's great because it's exactly what you go to see the movie for, and it's a ton of that, and they do it so well. It's honestly, I think it's like the pinnacle of action movies right now, because I don't think anything kind of comes close to it. Because when you see an action movie, all you want is, or like the big thing that you want is action, and this gives you like buckets full or truck fulls, or you get like airplane fulls, or you get, I don't know, Eiffel Towers full of action.
I mean, yeah, it was literally, it kind of started like that, right? Like we picked up on the action, but like Raul said, like everything from the beginning kind of just had to do with basically setting John Wick back to where he started. I mean, where he kind of left off. So you see some really cool scenes from the back, but it's just like you see right away that he means business. Like Carlos was saying, there's like that scene almost right in the beginning after like the horse shootout and all this crazy stuff. He gets and kills the elder, but then after that, he's preparing basically for that war that we were talking about in our last episode. He's punching that rope board and just getting his fingers nice and bloody. Like, I don't know, it was great.
No, I will say though, like, so it does start off with that, and then the Laurence Fishburne character, he kind of goes into the room, and John Wick's punching the board, and honestly, something that now thinking back, I'm kind of surprised, is like how few scars he has. Like I know that we don't really get to see his whole body all the time because he's always wearing a suit, but like even like in his face, you would expect like more scars just from like the line of work that he was in forever, but he really had no scars, and I'm sure that like a few months passed by, uh, be, or it had to be a good amount of scars, especially because of that fall. He must have broken a ton of bones.
No, so
in that fall.
hopefully anybody that's listening to this works on the movie, and they can definitely add more shirtless scenes with Keanu, because clearly Raul felt like it needed more shirtless Keanu scenes.
Yeah.
So
Well,
But
I think we really only got one when he went into the
Count it.
it, it, it,
I'm
Okay.
not counting, so I
to
wouldn't.
tear his ticket,
Dude, Raul was
and
just
they
looking
did the
forward
band on his
to.
back.
Raul was just looking forward to count all the scars. He's like, hold on, one, two.
Yeah.
It's like, where else?
No, and we saw this movie together, and then after we saw it, we went to the bar, had a couple of beers, and it was really hard to sit with you guys there and not talk about this movie because I just wanted to like kind of brag about everything I loved on it.
Hmm.
And we might have had too many drinks because I remember specifically that we said we were gonna dress up in suits so that we can do this review, and that's why I'm like an asshole, the only one wearing this suit, because I remember we all said we were gonna dress up in suits for this review. So if anybody's listening on Spotify and wondering why the fuck I'm wearing a suit, it's because these guys fucking punked me. So
Well,
what the fuck?
I'll just go with there could only be one John Wick, and so I guess you get to be John Wick. So
Oh
I'll
no.
be the dog.
Or we could be like undercover because John Wick, like pretty much all the people in suits, you know that they're like assassins or whatever. But then everybody else, you don't know if they're an assassin or not. So we could
No.
be those other undercover people.
No, and like I immediately want to talk about the scene because one of the problems that I had, if you listen to our John Wick franchise review of all the movies, is in the third one. I wasn't really too sold on the idea of John Wick finding this elder in the desert, and then that elder was able to kind of like sort of give him a mission and try to redeem him. So I love the fact that this movie started with kind of like picking that right back up, like okay, I'm gonna go find this elder, try to get my wedding ring, and kill him because he's one of the it's a 12 members of the table. It could be more, it could be 13, it could be 12, but he kind of explains to you that there's not just five, three, it's a specific number of table members. So I like the idea that he went looking for his ring. The guy didn't have his ring, and it ended up even being a different guy because the previous guy had been dead already. So that was really cool. I really enjoy the fact that they just did not drop that and decided to like, oh well, let's not ever talk about that scene because it didn't make any sense. 10 minutes to explain a little bit more about what happened to that elder and why we'll never see him again. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, and then I don't know, like it didn't take too long to introduce oh my God, what's the actor's name that plays Pennywise?
Bill,
Skarsgård?
Bill
Yeah,
Skarsgård,
yeah,
Bill
and so
Skarsgård.
and he was like our main bad guy throughout the movie too. But I was really excited
He
to
was
see him.
good.
Like I know I'd seen him already on the casting list and everything like that, so I was pretty excited. But him besides like being like Pennywise and these other serious roles, I don't know. I was just kind of wondering how he was gonna pull this role off because you're going against someone so freaking legendary as John Wick, and I'm like, man, this bad guy is gonna have to like bring it because it's gonna have to be someone with like some freaking charisma or like some really amazing skills, which we turned out it was more about the I have lots of money than anything
Yeah, the
else.
powers. They gave
Yeah,
you
it
the
was the
power.
power.
And
Yeah.
influence, yeah.
Well, he
Yes.
was definitely pretty to look on screen. Every time that he was being seen, I'm like, oh, what suit is he gonna wear? Like, oh, what is this
Oh
suit gonna
yeah,
look
yeah,
like?
yeah.
I just want to say his white one was definitely my favorite one. And
Mm.
now that he's dead, spoilers, like, who's
Oh,
getting those who's getting those suits? Because dude, those suits were fucking pimp. And not just anybody can wear those, in my opinion, but I definitely appreciated how fancy he was dressing.
yeah.
No, yeah, and I'll tell you what, with Skarsgård too, I was kind of in the beginning because he's doing an accent in the movie, and then in the beginning I didn't know if the accent was going to work for him, but then like
Yeah.
by the end of the movie, like it just seemed natural, like like that character really grew on him because like the first time I saw him, the big thing I know him as is Pennyworth too. Um, but like so the first time I saw him, I kind of got like a glimpse. I still kind of saw Pennyworth, but then kind of throughout the movie, he really like took over the character or the character took over him. And then like by the end of the movie, I just saw the stupid maitre d or what do they call him?
I forget his title. What's the movie we saw in October, Ramon, with the thing in the basement? 'Cause
Barbarian.
Barbarian. He was in Barbarian, so I kind of
Oh,
like.
I haven't seen it.
So
I heard
he's
it's good.
never. Every time I see him as Pennywise, I never see his face. But then when if you see Barbarian, like he's so friendly in that, and then just to see him from like that's the last movie I saw him, and then see him in
Yeah.
this, it's so interesting. My wife, she knows a little bit of French, so I kind of asked her, I'm like, "What do you think of his accent? Was it good?" My understanding is that it wasn't a good accent, but obviously I don't speak French. I don't. I'm not. I don't like interact with somebody that speaks French every day. So to me, it didn't bother me at all, and to me, it left like an impression on me. So I did like it, but I couldn't tell you if that was like a legit good French accent or not.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there for the accent, so it's all good. I was there for
Yeah.
the gunshots and the
Yeah.
noise and the booms and yeah.
Hmm.
Keanu's always just fighting Frenchmen, just like in the Matrix.
Exactly.
Reloaded.
Yeah.
Uh, no, but I think after the desert scene, and then I think the next scene that we get is in the hotel. When they come in,
And
and
Okinawa.
no, I was talking
It,
about Wilson's hotel.
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
when they
yeah.
Yeah,
contemplated
they
and
kind of come in and they're like, "Hey, you have a 1 hour to get your business or affairs in order." And man, that shit, like, I mean, that kind of happened so quick, but I did enjoy that. Also left an impact on me
they
because
killed
you
his
know,
concierge.
yeah, yeah, and then like Winston, I was just expecting the whole time that John Wick was gonna kill him. And if I have one complaint about the whole movie, it's the fact that John Wick, at the end of the movie, they still sort of have a friendship. And I don't understand why John Wick doesn't hold anything against him for dropping him from, in the last movie from the building. To me, that was the one thing that I'm like, I don't care how he's helping him. I don't care what. Like John Wick should have put a bullet on him, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they basically. Well, yeah, another sad part of that whole sequence or that scene was just also they killed his concierge, which too
Mhm.
close to real life because he passed away, the actor. But
Oh, that sucks.
yeah, and so it's like what we mentioned is though, right? I hope that he kind of like they give him like a good death, and then it was the death that kind of disturbed in the movie because that was the whole point. They broke the rules, and obviously they were trying to prove a point, so that was basically the penalty, which yes, the freaking hotel manager Winston got away with it as far as like he's not the one that lost his life. So then it allowed him to be there for John Wick later on when he's able to kind of help him even more. Which I don't know if this is jumping way too much, but I don't know, daddy stuff later.
What?
Later
Wait,
in
no,
Oh
the
no.
yeah.
I
movie.
mean, talk about it now. I don't want
No,
you to forget what
no,
what daddy
absolutely.
stuff.
At the very end of the movie,
Uh
he
huh.
says something about "okay, my son," or he
Yeah.
addresses him by son, and they really emphasize on his tattoo of a cross on his hand.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they never talked about John Wick's real parents or something. And I'm like, I don't think they would do that, where they would just kind of surprise you in the next movie that he's somehow related to John Wick as his real daddy.
Are
But
you talking about Winston? Yeah,
I
yeah.
Winston, yeah,
Because I feel like, I mean, they made it clear that John's family is the Russian, and he goes to the Russian people, his original family, and I feel like that was those,
Yeah,
those are
yeah, yeah.
all those are all
Because
adopted kids.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because they're all orphans as
Yeah, they're
far as
all
I know.
orphans.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
Um,
before I was just before, yeah, we wanted to before I forgot, I wanted to say that because I'm like, yeah, it just kind of seemed really weird that they threw that in there and they
Hmm.
focused way too much on that tattoo, which again, if we don't talk about Winston in that capacity by now, yeah, maybe John's daddy.
no,
Well,
and
it
yeah,
could also be just more of a like parental relationship because
Yeah,
he's a
well,
manager at John Wick's main hotel kind of things,
yeah, but
and
see, he's never
he was the Baba
broken.
Yaga.
But see, he's never broken. I don't know. I overthought it maybe, so maybe it is jumping the gun. I overthought it much because again, they were close, but it's not like he ever called them my son before or
Hmm.
anything weird
no.
like that. It just stuck weird to me. That's all.
No, I would hate that, especially with the whole last movie, him shooting him off the roof. And to me, that wouldn't. I mean, I could see them building, if they ever do a prequel, like building the relationship to be a lot more like a father son, but them actually being biological. I hope not.
Yeah.
Especially because, again, as much as I love Winston, I don't think he was. At this point, I don't need him anymore. Like, if this is the last movie, like, I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah.
Um, but let's go back a little back to the beginning. I think you were referencing Road when they went right after that scene. They go to the hotel and where was the city at?
It was Okinawa, wasn't it?
Yeah,
No,
Okinawa. Okay,
no,
I
no.
said
Or Kyoto. I forgot.
I want to
No,
say
I'm gonna
because
say
Osaka. I'm not even
I'm gonna
sure.
say it was in Japan. So they went to the hotel in
For
Japan.
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I was
Osaka.
the Osaka hotel. So I
Yeah.
was not too crazy on that, just because I always like seeing John Wick himself fight other people. And this one, you kind of got him and other people helping him out. Once he kind of got to the point where they went to the basement and they're, well, not basement, but they're like surrounding by a bunch of glass. And it was just John Wick fighting other people. That's where I really had fun with that scene. But the whole like beginning and them being like his daughter being introduced of that hotel manager, I wasn't loving that too much. And I was surprised that when she took off her clothes and she had that one cool armor, that it wasn't bulletproof, because then we see later on that she got shot and like the bullet went through. It could have been a special bullet, but I don't know. I just don't know how I felt about that whole scene. I felt like it went a little bit too long. And my favorite part of it was when John Wick was alone doing the fighting. I don't even want to see anybody else. Like, I'm here for John Wick, so I don't really need to see anybody else do the fighting.
I think parts of it were good. I like how they introduced the hunter guy. Mr. Nobody or
Is
whatever.
there nobody? Yeah, he's
Yeah,
freaking cool.
yeah. I thought it was cool how they kind of introduced him, and because he was just like there, but like you knew that like he was probably gonna be important somehow because like the actor. But yeah, like the daughter. Well, one like I think it was super cool that they introduced the Sonata as one of the managers.
Yeah, no,
Um,
definitely. I like that casting. I like him
yeah,
in anything.
yeah, pretty much anything. And then I obviously I'm a big fan of his fight with Donnie Yen. Um,
Yes, another
Yeah,
highlight,
yeah.
definitely.
yeah, and honestly with Donnie Yen's character, I love how different the character was from what you would expect from Donnie Yen. Because I feel like this one really had like a lot of personality, even though he was like again like a blind guy that somehow knew like how to fight
Eh,
people. But I love all the personality that they added to it because it shows that he's not just like martial artist, like he's like an actual good actor because it's completely different from anything that I've seen him in at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing with the whole daughter, and the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because you guys both mentioned it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the movie was just trying to make it necessary, right? Because they're trying to give you a reason to believe that the manager there has something to lose by helping John Wick, and clearly they already focused on the fact that they killed the concierge from the New York hotel. So then they talked about
And
all
they killed the
that.
hotel.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So then it's like they that's a big discussion they're having when before you find out that's a daughter, and they're kind of giving each other the clues for us, and then they
Hmm.
basically the whole fact that they mentioned that they killed the concierge. You're just like, oh, well, now they have something to lose because he doesn't want to lose his daughter, so he knows he has to. Well, too late. He's already been helping John Wick, but at the same time, it gives him, I don't know, it gets a little bit more importance. But yeah, she wasn't as necessary, and I don't know, those fights up there with her and the bow and arrow, just not believable when you're going against guns and you're like in such close proximity that was the one scene that I'm like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of craziness that happens, but she's like, putting the bows over the people's heads and knocking them around, and there's still people around her. I'm like, just shoot her in the head, Carlos' favorite line.
But yeah, the only thing I guess with that is like I don't know how they so I don't know how they make it so that the the arrows like go through the brick walls, or how they have so much power because obviously like bullets are like a piercing projectile thing. So if the actual like suits stop bullets, how's an arrow gonna get through a suit? So I don't know. I just think it's kind of like yeah, I completely agree with the bows and arrows. Like it's super impractical unless they have something special to them, like they explode or something. But they obviously didn't. So, but the swords I thought were cool. The actual fights I thought they were cool too. But yeah, the big thing was that one room with Donnie Yen, John Wick, and then when the hunter appeared, and then the other one was Donnie Yen and Sonata fighting. Those two were probably the big ones. Besides
No,
actual John Wick
no,
killing a
I
bunch of
did.
people.
No, I definitely enjoyed Donnie Yen as like character, and I liked him, and he was definitely needed in this whole movie. Like, I would not change any of his scenes or any of his motivation.
Yeah.
I was glad to see that he got out of Rogue One, after the planet exploded, and was able to come to this, without him, getting blasted. So that was really cool. I'm gonna be honest. I like the fact that he was blind. But I think eventually it gets to the point like, why make him blind if this man can clearly see everything and knows where everything is? In the beginning, they try to do it a little bit like believable, like
Yeah.
him setting up the sound stuff. But then eventually it just became too much for him. Like, I guess it's cool, but I don't really think it's needed because you're clearly making it seem like impossible. Like, no blind person could do this unless it's an anime or. And then they even tell you that he wasn't born
Uh,
blind. He
uh,
wasn't. Hold on.
unless he has the force.
Unless he has the force, yeah, yes, if he has the force or he's some kind force sensitive. But no, like they even tell you like he wasn't born blind. I
Mhm.
think when he got out of the like the high table and stuff, that's when he like gave him their eyes. So it's like, okay, now you're telling me that this man that maybe he spent the last 10 years being blind, he trained himself, or he was just so crazy that he was always even able to close his eyes and just find people. And I don't know, man. If maybe you would have told me like he was always like a blind assassin, like I could believe it. But the idea of him like recently being blind and then able to do these crazy things. I just didn't buy it. But again, I'm gonna go with it because this movie is already so over the top and it's giving me so many great scenes that I didn't care for a second whether he was blind or not. That's all I'm gonna say. So the idea of him being blind I didn't care because all the action scenes that he did were amazing, and every time he
Hmm.
was with John Wick, it was just so great to see like those two characters together work together.
Let's see, and then that was another guy that they were using his daughter against him, sort of, because, and
Hmm.
by the picture that he had in his wallet of her, that it had been like years since he's actually been with his daughter. So I don't know, like to that point of like, him learning how to fight after he was blind, believable if it's been like 20 years, because she looked kind of older when she's playing the violin on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's the only thing that I could have thought of. But I think I agree with you, Carlos, because like I really enjoyed him being blind, and I think when I started seeing him in that kitchen scene in the very beginning where he's setting those like door alarms, those little sensors,
Yeah.
that to me was like, okay, this guy's gonna be creative about the way he fights and being blind. Like, you could probably already assume he knows how to fight, but he's gonna be creative. And then yeah, like you said, at one point they drop it, and then I think the more and more went on, I was just kind of, I almost forgot
Yeah,
that
like
he was blind. I was like, oh, whatever. Like, he's not blind. Like, doesn't matter that he's blind. No, like he did some pretty amazing stuff. Like, later, like towards the end, that you just at that point you're like, yeah, you're never not blind. You're still looking through there.
Well, dude, the card game, he knew what he had in his cards.
What? Yeah, that made no sense.
Yeah.
Cheater like a mother heifer.
no,
It's the
they did.
force.
It has to be. I mean, but no, they did go a little bit over the top. And something that I was really like before we move on from the hotel scene, I was really happy to see John Wick using nunchucks to like fight people.
Oh,
Because
dude, that was awesome.
you don't get a lot of nunchuck actions in movie scenes. I could probably recall a few Jackie Chan movies where he uses nunchucks. So like, I was really happy that like somebody was using nunchucks. I'm like, please, thank you. Like, very underrated weapon. I want to
And the
say.
way that he used them too, because they didn't make him seem like he was proficient where he know how to use them, but not all the moves that he was using were like swift and sexy. Like when you see in
And
other like
fancy,
nunchuck
yeah.
movies, yeah, where they're
They
just
were all
like
practical.
fancy twirling them, they're all just like kind of tapping them. Like he was using them like freaking batons, man. Like yes, he would
Yeah.
still swing on. He obviously knew how to use them because he knew how to throw them around his like shoulders to neck after like every other move. But then yeah, you would see him and he will like shove it up people's like faces and just very blunt force. So it was a beautiful thing because yeah, it's a weapon that takes a lot of skill because obviously it's really easy to hit yourself and kind of really like do personal injury.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, not only did he master, but then he was just kind of getting a little tired. You saw that a little bit, and then he was like, you know what, anything that it takes. And it was again beautiful and brute at the same time as he was just beating them with those freaking nunchucks.
No,
No, and that kind of reminds me too. So the something that I found kind of weird and kind of impractical is all the rolling around that he did with people because he like when he was fighting a lot of people, like in some situations it made sense, but then sometimes it kind of seemed like it was a little too much of him kind of like rolling around, like grabbing people and like trying to do like submissions or something, but like not really doing it. And I don't know, I just thought that it was kind of impractical how much time he spent on the ground and
That one,
then twisting people.
that when people are trying to shoot your face, you're more worried about rolling around on the ground with them. No,
Yeah.
like yeah, I don't know, but I think that's what I was thinking about this when we were talking about the Oscars, but the movie hadn't came out yet. But I don't know, does the Oscars or any other award show have like best martial art choreography or best fight scene?
right,
Because
right. Because yeah, like right now that's a big push. I mean, it's been a big push for a while, but I think this movie even proves the reason why
yeah,
stunt people should be recognized for the work, man. Because
yeah, they were beautiful.
yeah, seriously, them are the ones that are making this movie so entertaining. In this movie, a lot of times you pay $25, $20 to go see a movie, and you're like, did I get my money's worth? But for this movie, man, I think you do get your money's worth because everything that's presented to you is done so well, and I love that so much about this movie.
Yeah, I
No,
got four tickets worth of my money back.
yeah, there are awards for like stunts and stuff like that, but it's never been part of the main thing.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I
Part of
mean
the main
that's
show.
a lot of what it is, the whole rolling around and stuff. It's just choreography, but it's beautiful because like you see some moves
It's
in there
amazing,
that are insane.
amazing.
I like when they're getting creative, and then like well, even the gun that they had given him that oh my god, that freaking
The Viper
yeah, that he
Oh,
had at the very end when he like unclips everything, and then it's just like the
stabbing
holster.
people with
Yeah,
it.
he's just like freaking stabbing people with
it,
it.
can somebody explain to me how that worked? The stabbing was it like it had something on the top that would like stab
Bottom.
people,
No,
like
no. Oh, okay.
bottom?
So with handguns,
Hmm.
especially those kinds. So a lot of times you can take off the top part of it. So whenever you shoot it, you know how like the round ejects off the top. So that part a lot of times you can take it off completely, and then you pretty much just have the pencil grip or the gun grip, the pistol grip. I mean, and then there's like some part of it, but in this situation, I'm guessing the end of it ends up being sharp or some. I didn't really get to see exactly how it looks, but I guess it's shaped in a way that he can also use as a weapon.
Dude,
Yeah.
bro, I got to applaud you for doing this review while riding a horse. If anybody's watching us on Spotify, it's freaking incredible what Raul's doing right now. But
I'm on my bed. That's why.
He's very committed to that first scene, man. He's like, wait, if John Wick can shoot a bunch of people on a horse, I can film and record on a horse.
no,
This background isn't real. It's just like a screen that's I'm carrying with me behind me.
Now we need a green screen behind you, man. That would be so good. We just feel like a desert in the back. Carlos, in post production, Carlos, that's what you need. You need a desert behind them.
Yeah.
Well, it is kind of green.
One day when I start the YouTube channel, I'll make sure to do that because we're almost everywhere now, guys. We have a TikTok, we have an Instagram, we have bro. You're working on a Facebook. It's under construction, so we're gonna have to like do a weekly update on the Facebook. But yeah, no, we're definitely expanding. So hopefully, when I do that YouTube uploading of this video, I'll put Raul on an actual horse in the background.
Well, if not, just close your eyes. Imagine Raul bouncing up and down on a horse.
Oh God.
Yeah. But no,
all the fan fiction coming from this. No, I'm kidding.
There you go. Hey, sorry. I had a question for you guys. Well, I mean, because we were just in the topic of like his weapon at that point. You already mentioned the dragon's breath, but we could definitely go back and talk about it. Like, what was your favorite weapon that you saw in the movie, or at least what was the favorite way of killing someone that you saw in this movie?
I mean, for me, other than when they're in the traffic and they're fighting with cars, just kind of like hitting them, right? I gotta go to that dragon scene,
The dragon's breath.
Ramon. And like, I don't know how dragon's breath scene, and I don't know how much I need to talk about it, but from the moment it started, and somebody had told me they were gonna do it Minority Report style, where it was gonna be the camera from on top, and I kind of had forgotten that as I was watching the movie. When that part happened, man, like, I don't know, just something about like. My eyes hadn't seen that before. The last time I saw it was when Tom Cruise was doing it in Minority Report, Spielberg, when he filmed that scene. Like, it was so cool, man. And not that I'm saying that other people should try to replicate that, because obviously, like, I want people to come up with their own ideas. But for me, it just brought something that, like, I felt almost like that Quicksilver scene in the first X-Men movie, or even the second one. Like, it's just something that I've never had seen done in a cool way like that, and I can't wait to either buy this movie or see it again, because I will play that scene or find it on YouTube, because I want to watch that scene all over again, because the music was so well executed, the action scenes were so well executed. I couldn't tell you if that was real people or not, but just from what was happening, it was just so well done.
Well, I'll say two things about that scene, and I completely agree with you. It looked super cool, and it seemed pretty original. Because it's kind of unexpected, but the thing that it reminded me of is like all the video games, because there's a bunch of games that kind of do that, that have the overhead view. So it was really cool kind of seeing that. And then the second thing, something that you guys probably don't know about is that there's actually, so there's shoe houses. So like in the military and police, they have like houses that they make up so that military or police officers can go through and try out different scenarios and train. And then in all of those, well, at least the more modern ones, they have like kind of like railings or things where like the instructors or the judges or whatever, they that's kind of the point of view that they have, because they're walking overhead, kind of seeing everything. So kind of seeing that from, even though in the movie it was higher up, it kind of also reminded me a little bit of that, because whenever you're looking down at other people kind of going through the shoe house, it kind of resembles that a little bit. So it was pretty cool to kind of see that too.
No, dude, it was awesome, and it's getting a little bit hot here, so I'm starting to take off some clothes. And
Whoa.
which also makes me remind people that we also have a OnlyFans now. But the only way you get access, the only way you will get access to the OnlyFans is if you give us a 5-star rating and follow us, and then tweet at us, and then we can give you the link to the 5 stars because this is about to get really X-rated, at least for me.
Look,
So
Oh
if you
look,
want to
God.
see that.
look, Raul. You might not get John Wick, but you can count Carlos's scars.
Oh man, well I'm gonna have a nice shoulder scarf in a month, so I'll be able to show that to you, Ro.
Oh yeah.
Oh, let's see. Talk
Yeah.
scars to me.
No, dude, and like, something that I wanted in this movie, and I didn't realize how much I had missed it. It was like going back to that nunchuck scene. I wish there was some humor in it. Like, I wish, we kind of got an action scene where, what I liked about Jackie Chan is that he would beat up people to the point where it almost became comical the way he was doing them or the certain things he was doing about it. But I do want to say at the very end where he fell down those stairs, man. I could not believe that was
Oh
happening.
my God.
Like I like in my mind, like I was like that. This is not happening. Like it was just the idea of him fighting so hard to kill those 40 people to get up there, and then starting all the way back in the beginning. It was just so comical to me,
Hmm.
and I wish we would get more of those kind of situations.
Hmm.
Like obviously, you don't want too much comedy in your John Wick movie, but that was like just the right amount of
Yeah.
comedy that I needed.
And it was also the right type of comedy too. Because it wasn't like a gag or like any like random type of joke. It was actually like a good, like it was ironic.
Okay, I'll give you that one because that was great, right? In a movie that's so serious, that was pretty funny,
Hmm.
and it kept on going and going and going. And then when he's finally at the bottom, and it's like you have 2 minutes to get back up, and then you see all the guys in front of him. But there was another comedic relief throughout, well, not throughout the movie, but like second half of the movie. Do you guys remember?
Was it the
Nuts.
big boy?
No, nuts. The dog.
Oh
Every
God.
time, every time the
Yeah.
the nameless freaking
Nobody. Yeah.
hitman, yeah, nobody would tell his dog nuts, and he would just go for those nut shots.
I
And oh my god,
know.
how
Like,
many
oh
people like
no.
this has to be counted? How many people did that dog mess up throughout the movie? It was great.
No, dude, for me, like it hurt every time he like I felt the people's pain.
Yeah.
So I was not getting joy out of that dog biting people's nuts. And
Hmm.
I did like how him and that Mexican actor had that relationship against
Oh
one
The
another.
Spanish
yeah.
one.
The
Yeah.
Spanish one, which I don't know who that actor is, and I didn't love him. I think he could have been somebody else that could have portrayed him, but he did have fighting skills, and maybe that's why he got the role, because he could definitely fight. So I appreciate his fighting style, but I felt like we could have gotten a definitely more famous, and maybe he is a famous Mexican artist, and I just don't know who he is.
M-
Um,
Marcos Saror
Still
from
don't know who
Chile.
he is.
I still don't know who
Still
he
don't know
is.
who he is.
He,
It
he's
might,
he,
But
he's a Chilean martial arts action star
oh, there you go. See,
and
that's
that's
what
why.
and
that's
and,
what.
and fight
Yeah.
choreographer.
Yeah.
There you go. That makes sense. He probably did some
Hmm.
of those fight scenes himself, but I see what you mean. Like, yeah, they definitely had a beautiful dance like that. That again, that hitman, the dog, and him kind of just followed each other around throughout. But I actually really enjoyed again that they added a dog again. Like John Wick is clearly a dog lover. I think the movies now go hand in hand with having a dog in the movie and a badass car in the movie, whether it's like one or multiple, and then
Oh, dude,
obviously weapons and
that
killing.
car scene, man. Oof.
Yeah, but no, I mean, oh
Hmm.
yeah, well, we'll get back to that one too. But yeah, the dog, man. So sorry. Another reason why the dog was, besides obviously all his fighting skills too, and how his owner used them, and they made like a really great combo. There was that other scene that basically, because of the dog and the fact that this Chilean hitman almost killed the dog, but John Wick saved him. That's kind of what really saved John Wick's life. Also later on, I mean, there was many reasons why John Wick made it out alive at the end, but that was another one, right? Like his dog, and he saved him, and
Hmm.
that guy right there later on
A
kind of
couple
repaid him a
times too.
favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a beautiful thing to see. I think I don't know, this movie again. It's giving you everything, and we've kind of seen it already, but it's just so different. This movie that is just still really great.
Dude, and
Yeah.
something, go ahead.
And then the other thing too is I kind of feel bad for Bob Odenkirk because
Mm.
now this movie is like stealing his name. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie
I Nobody, yeah,
Nobody. Yeah,
I've seen
it's
it as well.
actually a really cool movie. But yeah, like now we have another Mr. Nobody.
But that
Yeah,
other
no,
Mr. Nobody was great too. Just saying.
Yeah, it
oh yeah,
was.
that movie's a lot of fun, which kind of tells you like if him and I mean John Wick, what I like about him, and again we kind of touched on the last review that said he puts it in the work, man, and
Hmm.
that's why the Matrix, the new one that came out, was such a disappointing because that Keanu is somebody that will train with other people, will make sure he does whatever he needs to do to get the perfect shot. And the idea that I know in the other Matrix, there's reasons why it's so like meta as it is. So we will get into that. But I appreciate the man. I appreciate everything he does because like
Mhm.
who else could have pulled this kind of like crazy scenes? Because there is a video of him doing the car, like training for the car scene where there's like no door on the car, and he's driving around and like shooting people. Like there is an actual scene of him doing that. So he was actually driving the car while doing that, and I thought it was just so cool because you can see that on the screen. You're like, oh, that's not a stunt double, that's actually Keanu doing those
Oh
scenes, and I
yeah.
thought that was just so cool about that.
I don't know. He gave us, like you said earlier, he does give us a lot of scenes that you really don't see too many places. And given that, that up above ground, like camera view in
Hmm.
that one scene was like, not super original, but it was the first time that we've seen it in a movie to this impact. But even The Matrix, when he did that initial shot of him being shot, that was all brand new. But yeah, like the thing that he did with the car, and like you said, he was basically doing like big wide donuts around these people and just
Oh,
shooting
dude,
them
yeah,
and shooting them and shooting them. And it's just like, man, like this guy, like there's no way I could do that, and I just probably like die within the first second. I fly out of the car, fly out of the car, roll into somebody, and then he's bang, shot in the head.
dude. Somebody I want to talk about is that the guy that owned the club in Russia, the guy that had the gold three
Oh,
teeth at the front. At first, I like how he was introduced. Then the scene kind of went on for too long. Then it became John Wick chasing him. But then once he stood his ground against John Wick, I'm like, hell yeah! Like we need more fat boys like showing that
Oh, yeah.
them showing like their badass like kicks and stuff. And I know like he was clearly wearing a bodysuit, but I just the
Yeah.
idea of like this fat guy that has asthma and is doing like badass karate moves, and if they would actually like beat John Wick's ass for a moment, like that was so cool, man. I wish more movies would also do that with like bigger people.
Yeah. I just looked up the director. So before this,
Yeah.
he like all of his credits are like a stunt coordinator, martial arts coordinator, stunts, supervising stunt coordinator. So that's like all of his credits. So obviously he knew that. And then I did see like another, like I had seen like a video before the movie, where he was doing interviews, about the John Wick franchise, stuff like that. And then for that specifically, I guess he got inspiration from another Donnie Yen movie too, where he fights like another martial artist that's overweight and stuff. But like, so he got inspired by that, and then he wanted that actor because he's done like a ton of movies, and he's always like a stunt guy and stuff like that. He wanted that actor specifically to kind of show off more than just the martial arts that he always does. Um, and so that's kind of how they generated the character, because he wanted the actor, and then they developed the character based off of the actor and kind of what the
that's
actor wanted to
awesome.
do.
Well, I'm gonna have to check it out, but there is a movie on Amazon Prime that keeps getting promoted, and it's Donnie Yen in a fat suit, doing badass action scenes, and it's actually called Fat Dragon. So if you guys
That's
haven't
cool.
seen it, you have to look it up on Amazon Prime. But I think maybe I have to just seen this movie and the fact that it keeps getting promoted for me on Amazon Prime. I might actually have to watch it because, clearly I enjoy the idea of a fat person doing crazy action scenes. So if it's
Hmm.
Donnie Yen in a fat suit, like that movie is probably actually a lot of fun. So I'm gonna actually have to like find it out on my schedule to watch and tell you guys how it is.
Hmm.
Dude, Beverly Hills Ninja. Never
Oh,
heard of
dude,
it.
I mean,
Just
I don't
kidding,
know if
just
he was.
kidding.
I don't.
I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
I
I'm just
think
kidding.
it might be a little bit different.
I don't think he was.
Yeah.
I don't think he was wearing a flat suit, and I think that one's not
No,
the
I
point we're
know, I
trying to
know,
make.
I know, I know, but that was a
Oh,
great movie, fun movie.
Kung Fu Panda. No.
There you go.
Yeah, that's I don't no hate on Kung Fu Pandas at my house.
Yeah, but what? So then, I mean, we're getting close to like the end as far as like talking about that duel, right? So like he finally makes it up the stairs and he makes that point of the duel. Like, I don't know, man. To me, that I kind of it was great for the character. Of just being able to wuss out and put Donnie Yen in front and being like, "Hey, dude, you're gonna be doing this duel for me." So I kind of figured he was gonna take an easy way out. But that duel was interesting, man. I was really excited to see that and see how it play out, and it was totally a traditional duel, like pistols, 30 paces away and turn around and shoot.
I wonder if that was like always their plan, or if once they're doing the third duel, I think they repeat something to one another, and that made me think that John Wick finally like realized like, look, if one of us has to die, clearly it should be me. But I did like that Donnie Yen clearly didn't shoot to kill, and then John Wick still had that one remaining bullet. So that was really cool. The idea that he got all cocky, Bill Skarsgård, and then he got a bullet right in his head.
Well, they talked about it because I was wondering how that was gonna go, and I'm like, they had a plan. I didn't. Well, it's not that I didn't expect it. I guess I didn't see it, and so when it happened, I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, thank goodness, like something. And you know what? I was counting bullet holes because John Wick did have his three like gunshots, and then freaking Donnie's character didn't
Yeah,
have. He only had the two, and I was like, where did he get shot? But then it
like
moved too quick,
did
and then yeah,
did he miss or what? Yeah,
yeah, that's what I
I
kept
wondered the
thinking.
same thing.
Yeah.
No, no, and I know we're pretty much talking about the end now, so I guess I might ask you guys this: like, is this really it, man? Is he really gone? I mean, I was now that I've had some time to think about it, and I feel like John Wick did die because my wife kind of said that, yeah, he died because I was like, that was kind of dumb that he died after all he went through, and it's like, no, think about it. At the end, all he wanted to do was be free, and I think by him, finally being free from the table, kind of like made him in a way feel like, okay, I can finally die because what is the point of me continuing? Like I want to be free and my wife is no longer with me. And not saying that he purposely let himself die because clearly it was the bullet wounds. But overall, do you guys think he's dead or do you think we might actually get him back in the near future?
So I could see it kind of going either way. Um, so I think he could actually have died, and then in the future they're gonna do like a spinoff with either the daughter or somebody else, or or he faked his death so that the table would leave him alone, or make
But
it
see,
easier for the table to leave him alone.
but that's what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe that's what it is, right? It's like insurance that it's not going to happen
Mm,
again. That not
yeah.
only is he like, supposedly out of the contract with the table, that he's no longer going to be like needed by them
Hmm.
or be bothered by them, but this will be the guarantee is that if he fakes his death. But then that gives me the question or gives us the question, then what? Like, what happens in the next movie? Oh my God, he's alive. But now who does he fight? Which I guess we never got to the end of all that in the sense of like, he might still want to kill people on the
Yeah.
table.
Well, I don't know if the movie's gonna go forward with either the ballerina movie with I think Ana de Armas or if it's gonna be the Asian young lady that's gonna move the franchise forward. But like I do see it at one point being, maybe we get another movie and there is no John Wick whatsoever. Maybe he's like hints given at the very end of the movie that he's like in some island. But I do feel like it'd be stupid to like completely get him out of the table because I think this is one of those situations where, not that I want a Fast and Furious franchise because obviously we've seen how much those movies have gotten so much worse. But I do like the idea that hey, we build to somebody new, we introduce a couple new people and then when we're ready, we'll bring John Wick back into the table. Because I mean, you gotta understand also, Keanu's probably gonna take a break and start doing some either more serious movie or different kind of movies. So
Or
maybe this is a way.
comedies.
Yeah, so maybe this is his way to be like, okay, this is where I get to kind of franchise and start working on Constantine. Maybe be a little bit bigger in in those movies. But I'm interested, man. But I think this movie made a lot of money, and I wouldn't be surprised if we keep seeing John Wick #1 for the next couple of weeks. I don't know what the next big movie. Oh, Mario. Damn, I think Mario is gonna dethrone it. Sorry, guys.
D&D is next week, and it's gotten a
Mario.
lot of good reviews.
I don't know if
Mario.
that's gonna dethrone John Wick, but it could. I mean, it
Well,
made
well
money.
for
Yeah,
the week, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if it'll do more than John Wick because I think John Wick is still going to do well next
yeah.
weekend. But opening weekend, is typically big. So
No, and I mean that's what it kind of has going against it. It's a little bit long. If it was like an hour and 45, which I would not have wanted it to be that case, especially knowing what kind of movie we did end up getting. But if it was an hour and 45, like more people could go see it, and people could be like, yeah, this only killed 2 hours of my day. The fact that it's almost close to Avatar's length, and I did not feel it whatsoever. I
hmm.
didn't go to the bathroom even though I drank like two giant what is it the ices so like I was totally entertained and like I'm thankful that I don't have to be like, oh well, I went out of my way to go to the bathroom for 5 minutes. I have to definitely watch it. Like nope, I sat through the whole 3 hours of that movie and it was great.
Yeah, that was really easy, like really easy writing. Like I said, it started with the action, ended with well, then it's oh yeah, it did kind of end with the action. That little post credit scene was a nice little blessing. But see, that's another confusing thing. At the end of all that, I'm like, yes, it was still like the daughter of the one hotel manager getting her revenge. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know, that didn't really do much for me. So I do wonder how that's gonna play into the next movies. But
Hmm.
No. And guys, I want to ask you guys a question, and this is actually came from somebody that was listening to the episode. So I kind of want to give out to my friend Daniel because he asked a question on the Instagram, and he wanted for me to ask you guys if do you guys think that John Wick deserved everything that he got in these last four movies because of the fact that he probably did some terrible things when he was an assassin for hire. And if you guys do think anybody else could have taken him down, clearly Donnie Yen did sort of take him out at the end of this movie, but is there anybody specific that you wish would have been saved for like, oh, this is the person in the next movie who's going to take him down? Is there anybody else that you could see John Wick going against that he would actually struggle against?
So I think that I don't know, like it's very possible that like everything that happened to him was karma for everything that he did. Considering the reputation that he had, I'm sure that he's killed a ton of people. So I guess it kind of just depends on how you see it, because obviously killing's not a good thing, but it could have been karma that he's finally getting everything that he deserves for everything that he's done. But also like he tried to get out and then they kind of like did him wrong, or I guess. But I don't know. I do think that he kind of took it too far. Uh,
Oh, definitely.
yeah, and it all kind of just started with the second movie because like the first movie, completely understandable. Second movie, kind of because of the marker. I would have said that he should have just killed the guy instead of killing the sister, but and then just ended it there, or kind of just go until they left them alone.
No,
But
exactly. That's what I think. I think that guy eventually would have left him alone. So yeah, no, I agree with you about that. Like he definitely could have stopped, but then we would have gotten these awesome next couple of movies.
mhm.
For me, as far as somebody, I guess I'll answer the question. As far as somebody that could take him down, I mean, I hint throughout this whole movie that I would have loved to seen like more of things that Jackie Chan used to do. So my answer is that I wish we could get Jackie Chan back, even though I know he's older, but I would like to see him in a role as like he's known as like the teacher or the master. So it's like they talk about like we got to bring the master, and he could be like somebody that just trains other assassins, but he possibly could be somebody like John Wick that's just kind of like built this legendary like I'll never go back, and I got out, but I was like the greatest there ever has been for my time period. And for some reason they do a way to like bring in Jackie Chan as the master or the teacher to like go against John Wick, because I would just love to see the idea of like an older. I don't know. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie with Jackie Chan against Pierce Brosnan, but even that was really entertaining.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
Where
yeah,
the foreigner.
the
the
foreigner. So
foreigner.
it's like again, man. I
Yeah,
wish
that's really
we
good.
could see John Wick and Jackie Chan against each other. I don't know if that'll ever come true because both of them are getting a bit older. But that's my pick of somebody that I believe could maybe go against John Wick if they put him in a good role.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot because I could see Tom Hardy as somebody else that could kind of be introduced somehow, and then he be the one to take over, or even like a younger person, like a Tom Holland or something. uh,
Yeah, I don't
well,
know.
I don't think him specifically, but
Yeah,
but that's the thing though that I don't know if there's anyone big enough to carry a franchise uh, to succeed, or succeed to come after Keanu Reeves, that could take the whole franchise on his shoulders or whatever, because it would have to be like a young person, or it would have to be like somebody like Jackie Chan that's kind of carrying it and then training whoever's going to take over for him.
hey,
Well,
don't
as long
forget
as we
about
don't.
Jet Li. No, I'm kidding, just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
he's
mean, as
older
long as
too
we
though.
never get The Rock in one of these movies, like I will be happy. So please, Rock, stay out of these franchise. Go
Yeah.
do your thing somewhere else. Go ruin another franchise.
Yeah, and no, like, and I wouldn't say necessarily the person that I think really should be in the series if they are going to continue it, but one person I would like for him to fight would be Jason Statham, because Jason
Yeah,
Statham for
Oh, yeah.
me, yeah, Jason Statham was
yeah,
one of my like favorite martial arts also fighter, but also he does
yeah.
bring the like that British
Action
humor
star.
into it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he does bring it into like the British humor, so it becomes kind of a different movie. But I feel like especially because they've been using him for like
Yeah.
Fast and Furious and a couple other movies, so
That's
I don't want that same kind of effect that you put him in there and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's just the bad guy they used for this other series, like,
yeah.
but
That's what
he would be awesome.
No, yeah, because I like the idea, but yeah, then as soon as I remember, like, oh, now we're bringing somebody else from like the friend, the
Yeah.
Fast and Furious, and I don't like that. Like, I want to give love to some of these other actors that maybe felt like they were done in their career. Because I mean, that's the whole. If anything, that the Oscar proves is that people can still come back and have a second shot at greatness.
Mm-mm.
So that would be my hope. Well, guys, I don't have anything else, but do you guys have any last thoughts before we get going about our John Wick Chapter 4? I mean, again, I thought it was great. I would definitely give this like 8 hot jalapenos or 9 almost. So that's at least for me how I felt about it.
All right. Well, I gotta say, I want there to at least be another actual John Wick movie because can't get enough of the puppies. Bring all the puppies.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I wouldn't mind there being like one where it's just like a bunch of dogs because I know with Halle Berry she had her too. But I don't know, kind of like a Laurence Fishburne with all the homeless people. But instead of that, it's like I don't know, some sort of like shelter owner or manager, and he has like a bunch of dogs and maybe like a pig or two or a bunch of
Now you're
animals,
just talking
whatever they
about the
want.
what? Now you're just talking about 101 Dalmatians, man.
There we go, Cruella Deville with all
Starting
her
John
dogs.
Wick. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
Emma Stone.
no, yeah, and I mean I gotta applaud the franchise for the fact that I was really thinking they were gonna go back and bring some of these older characters into the movie. Like I was expecting Ruby Rose, Common, Halle Berry to show up, and they have shown some restraint to say like, nah,
Well,
nah,
they
nah, we're not doing
died.
any. Well, not Halle Berry,
Mm.
and you don't know that they Common. You know, to my understanding, he was still kind of left. Like he told them like, don't take the knife out, so he could
Oh
still be alive.
yeah,
And Ruby Rose even said like, "I'll see you later." So I don't really feel like any of them, except for maybe the guy in the Fort movie, maybe is dead. But like, yeah, they definitely have restrained themselves from like bringing anybody back from the dead. So I like that, man. I like that they're being original. I like that they're doing their own thing. This movie deserves all the attention that it's getting, man. And I want to see what other movie in the near future. Maybe that Chris Hemsworth movie for Netflix. Those were pretty good, but I don't think it's
Extraction.
ever. Extraction. I don't think the Extraction 2 is ever gonna get to the level of this movie because this movie
No,
No.
definitely just has like a different, like something you'll never get
right.
no
Yeah.
matter how hard you try. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? Like Chris Hemsworth is somebody that can like carry a franchise too, in the right
Tell,
role.
tell that to the Men in Black franchise that he killed with it.
Let's go, Clifford.
Yeah. That to me that wasn't the like that wasn't Chris Hemsworth. It was I just think it wasn't a very well written movie.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well let's not get off topic, but John Wick, Keanu Reeves, and this is your last movie, last gulp of my drink. I salute you and thank you for these past 10 years, and hopefully you're in dog heaven, hurting anybody else that has hurt puppies, and taking them to hell.
Hell yeah.
Well, guys, this has been great. You guys have a good night, and I will talk to you guys next time when we
Hey,
do
good
our
morning.
Naruto talk.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
go.
I gotta learn all the jitsus
There you go.
so I can do them as I talk.
Where I'm doing my disappearing jutsu, so this
I'll
will
make
be
tortillas.